Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. A very warm welcome to wherever you join us virtually and wherever you belong to. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today for the official opening of the third conference on managing tourism across continents with the motto "Tourism for a Better World." The conference is held by the Association of Turkish Tourism Academics, which is well known shortly TUADER, with the support of leading universities worldwide and distinguished tourism scholars and academies. The objective of the conference is to gather tourism scholars, academics, professionals, and graduates from all over the world and discuss new trends, cutting-edge developments in tourism. Now, please, let me invite Professor Muharrem Tuna as the President of TUADER and Honorary President of Conference to deliver his welcome speech.
Dear class, students, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Association of Turkish Tourism Academics, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and welcome you to the third campus of Managing Tourism across continents. Moreover, I honorably welcome our keynote and invited speakers. It is my hope that the third Conference on Managing Tourism across continents 2022 will be able to achieve its objective in providing an effective forum for academicians, researchers, practitioners, and students to advance knowledge and research for tourism and hospitality industry. Since November 2019, we have been facing some restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We could not travel as before during this period because of travel bans and fear of illness. We hope that the pandemic will be completely eliminated through the vaccines and development. The workshop on managing tourism across continents was planned to be held face-to-face in 2020. However, when the pandemic came, we organized this conference online and had one of the first online tourism conferences in the world. In 2021, we held our conference online again due to the pandemic. I would like to thank Professor Yetkilisi, Orman teachers, Ebru Günçükaltan, and Can Çobanlı, who are the previous 4 years of FTCOM. We plan to hold the conference in person in 2022, but due to the ongoing pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, and the economic crisis, we decided to hold it by the hybrid method. Our organizing committee has been carrying out the preparations for the conference with great devotion for about a year. Of this conference. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Yetkilisi, Editor-in-Chief of Tourism Management, Professor Louis Kwak, Editor-in-Chief of Journal of Service Research, Professor Liz Tusiaga, Head of School of Hospitality and Tourism Management in the University of Surrey, Professor Michael Hall, Co-Editor-in-Chief of Current Issues in Tourism Research, Professor Coman Gertz, Vice Dean of Business School of National University of Singapore, Professor Bruce Tracy, Editor-in-Chief of Cornell Hospitality Quarterly, who did not decline our invitation and participated in our conference as a keynote speaker. In this conference, we also organized editor corner sessions to guide young researchers. I would also like to thank Professor Manuel Rivera, Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Hospitality Management, Professor Fezul Bush, Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management, Professor Scott Markey, Co-Editor-in-Chief of Annals of Tourism Research, Professor Brian Shaw, Editor-in-Chief of Journal of Hospitality Marketing and Management, Professor Carlos Lavia, Editor-in-Chief of Spanish Journal of Marketing, Professor Can Çobanlı, Editor-in-Chief of Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology, who will be the speakers in the sessions. Also, I would like to thank workshop leaders, Professor Babak Tahir from Nottingham Trent University, Professor Can Çobanlı from University of South Florida, Professor Fezul Bush from University of Central Florida, Associated Professor Dr. Ratnavaz Dolti from University of Education, Associated Professor Faisal from University of South Florida, and thanks to the illustrious speaker, Vinny Yavari from Microsoft Corporation India. Furthermore, my deepest gratitude goes to the co-chairs, Professor Osman Karatepe and Professor Levent Altınay, and conference coordinators Sedan Var, Alaaddin Başoğlu, and Evelyn, and supply unit coordinators Mehmet Bahar, Oğuz İpek, and Erdem Başçı, and also technical developers Tolga Altaş, Alberto Gündüzay, and Zümrüt Manikova. Besides, I want to thank 44 partner universities and the members of the Board of Advisory, Board of Science and Organization Committee. Finally, I would like to thank the Ministry of Culture and Tourism and especially Minister Mehmet Ersoy, officials of the Tourism Promotion and Development Agency, Yenişehir University, İzmir Kavram Üniversitesi, Hotel Language, ABG Grant Group, Alanya and its General Manager Murat Karandaroğlu, Sabah Yıldızı Şirketler Grubu and its General Manager Yusuf Sabah Yıldızı, Association of Professional Hotel Managers and its Chairman Mr. Kukay Atlaja, and in this hotel who contribute to the organization. Before my last verse, I would like to inform you about the conference that we are going to organize on August 25 to 28, 2022 in Ankara and Cappadocia. Anatolian landscape and cave tourism, ancient times to present conference will be held by the collaboration of Untitled University, Cappadocia University, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and the Association of Turkish Tourism Academies, with the support of the Turkish Republic Ministry of Culture and Tourism, Turkey's leading universities and NGOs. I would like to invite all participants to this conference, which is full of science, culture, and entertainment. Academic conferences in the field of tourism play an important role for researchers, industry representatives, and decision makers. Every professional group gains various benefits from the papers presented at the conference. I'm sure we will have efficient and rewarding exchanges in the next few days. I hope that the conference will provide plenty of benefits to all colleagues, participants, attendees, and guests. Welcome to the third conference on managing tourism across continents. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Muharrem Tuna, for your welcome speech. And now, next, I would like to invite our conference co-chairs to deliver their opening speeches. Professor Levent Altınay from Oxford Brookes University, England, and then Professor Osman Karitepe from Eastern Mediterranean University, north of Cyprus. Dear professors, the stage is yours.
This is not going to be a long, open speech, as was done by Professor Muharrem Tuna. I'm going to deliver the opening speech on behalf of the chiefs. Professor Altınay, Hostess of Paris, is going to be making the opening closing speech on the 26th of March. We would like to welcome you all to the Conference on Managing Tourism Across Continents 2022. As you already know, tourism makes a significant contribution to the economic growth and development in a nation and on a global basis. Tourism also enables individuals to get to know new people, cultures, religion, and values, and has a great potential for peacemaking. With this realization, we started our journey with a motto: tourism for a better world. In this year's Antiquan Conference, Managing Tourism Across Continents Conference, there are 246 papers to be presented by academies from Turkey and 42 different countries. The total number of authors in this conference is 523. 56% of these authors is from foreign countries. The total number of universities is 178. 64% of these universities is outside Turkey. We strongly believe this is going to be a huge success because in a market environment where there are too many unexpected incidents such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the war and global economic crisis, 523 authors have registered, have submitted their papers for online and in-person presentation. We have too many things to talk about in the conference. For example, we have a very special session in the conference that is called the Editor's Corner session. We will be welcoming a number of editors-in-chief in our conference. These are going to be, for example, the editors from top hospitality journals, such as International Journal of Hospitality Management, International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management, Journal of Hospitality Marketing and Management, and Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology. We also welcome the editor-in-chief of Spanish Journal of Marketing. We also invited a number of well-known academics to make keynote speech. For example, we are going to be welcoming the editor-in-chief of Tourism Management, Journal of Service Research, which is the top journal in the service field, current issues in tourism, foreign hospitality quarterly, as well as the vice dean from the business school at the National University of Singapore, and the head of the School of Hospitality Management at the University of Surrey. And also, we will be welcoming one industry keynote speaker from India. In addition to these activities, academic activities, there are several different workshops. There are how to become an academic, networking, forza technologies, data analysis, PLS, how to craft a literature review, scale development and validation, and qualitative research and data analysis. We hope this is going to be a huge success. We strongly believe that the conference participants will find the opportunity to take advantage of this conference to establish and maintain long-term relationships concerning sustainable research collaboration. Thank you, and we wish you a very good conference.
We thank you, our co-chairs, for their warm opening speech. And dear guests and participants, we will welcome our first keynote speaker, Professor Min Hui Huang, at 10 a.m. in room Artemis. So we have 20 minutes before our keynote speech. Thank you very much. Dear organizing committee members, can you come to the stage for taking a photo, please? Dear guests and participants, we kindly invite you to the stage to have a huge photo together. Please come to the stage. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and please let me remind you for our keynote speech at 10 a.m. at Artemis Room, please.
Tam yönetici de benim, öyle diyeyim ben size. Lavanta apartman da bu şeyi yenilemedik biz büyük ihtimal. Bu sene kullanmayı bıraktık bu şeyi. Hesabı kullanmayı bıraktık. Şeyi imza yetisi var ya, onu yenilemedik. Ama şeyde İş Bankası'nı aradığımda onlar da şeyle iptal edilebilir dedi. Sorgu numarasıyla.
İptal edilmez.
Ama yani şimdi bu hesapta kullanılmıyor. Sadece 120 TL için biz bu hesabı tekrar üstümüze mi alacağız ya?
1 TL.
Bir dakika olabilir. Aleykümselam. Sağ ol, sağ ol. Allah razı olsun.
Evet, kalın. 2019'da alınmış 1 yıl.
Abi bir bakalım.
Bekliyorum.
Bir bakalım abi.
21'de de almış olmamız lazım ama çok önemli değil ya.
21'deyse istersen imza sökülür. Getir yukarıda Mustafa Bey var.
Ha?
O girsin o şekilde teslim edebiliriz.
Abi bunu şimdi sayıyorum.
Yani şeye falan
2020'de
gitmeme gerek var mı tekrar? Notere falan gitmeme gerek var mı?
Tabii notere gitmeye gerek yok. Bu apartman yöneticisi
Abi noter
kim?
zaten 200 TL 300 TL onunla uğraşacağım ya.
Araçlar var. Kendi araçlarımız var. Kendi araçlarımız
Ben doktorun oradan başlıyor. Şimdi de yönetiminden başlıyor. İnşallah.
Yani bence değiştirmeseydik. Bence değiştirmeseydik. Kaç süre? Allah Allah. Raporlar gelmiyor mu peki?
Böyle bir şey yaşadım ben.
Allah Allah. Çok iyi.
Çok ilginç, gerçekten çok ilginç oldu. Yani bayağı yoğun bir CV'nin olmasına rağmen, çalışmalar çok
Yani
olmasına rağmen.
kendiniz karşılamıyor iyi bir şey mi acaba?
Evet, böyle bir şey çıktı. Geldi raporda. Bir sayfa atarım size görmek isterseniz. Sonra şimdi de yönetimden başlıyoruz. İnşallah bu sefer olur bakalım. Yani madem öyle doktoramdan başlayabilirler. Nasıl olsa
Yani-
bu an ikisi de tutuyor. Yani orada da çalışma var, burada da var.
Yani sizin yeriniz olsa değiştirmez aynı yerden devam eder.
Öyle
Yani
mi?
o şuyla alakalı bir şey genelde. Bazen böyle hani işte bazı şeyler var. Yönetiyor.
Ayhan Bey vardı. Evet, şey vardı. Göknil Hanım Mersin'de. Evet. Başka Sayma Ankara Hacı Bayramı Meydan vardı. Bir de Konya'dan çok tatlı evet. Ondan sonra bir de Cafer Bey vardı. Şeyden.
Participants, Due to a technical connection problem, just we move forward with Professor Fevzi Okumuş. Normally it was the 11 a.m. session, but we start instead of the previous one. So I would like to introduce Professor Fevzi Okumuş firstly. Professor Fevzi Okumuş is the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association preeminent chair professor within the Hospitality Services Department at the University of Central Florida's Rosen College of Hospitality Management. He was the founding chair of the Hospitality Services Department at UCF Rosen College. His main teaching and research areas include strategic management, leadership, hospitality management, and lodging. He has over 270 academic publications, over 170 refereed journal articles, 4 books, 12 book chapters, and 19 conference presentations and reports. As of March the 20th, 2022, his publications have received over 15,292 citations, and he has a high index of 58. He has chaired co-chairs and committees. He is the editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management and the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Insights, GHTI. He is a frequent speaker at international conferences. He has received numerous prestigious research awards and recognitions, including the Michael D. Olson Research Award in 2016. The University of Central Florida Scroll and Quill Society Award in 2017. The CFHLA Permanent Professor Society Award in 2017. And also the CFHLA Preeminent Professor Achievement Award from ICHRIA in 2018. Finally, Professor Okumuş was recognized as a highly cited researcher for 2021 by Clevariat, based on data from Web of Science. He highly cited researchers rank in the top of 100% by citations for field and publication year in the Web of Science Citations Index. Now I kindly invite Professor Fevzi Okumuş to the stage to deliver his speech. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Greetings of the day. I am not the keynote speaker, okay? I'm not as smart and pretty as her, right? Not accomplished as her. I'm the replacement. I was supposed to speak on the editors panel, and the conference organizers asked me whether I could deliver a workshop on how to become a first-class academic, and I changed the title to How to Become a Good Academic. And then last night, while preparing my presentation as our students do last minute, I changed the title to How to Survive in Academia. Okay? I think that's a better title than the previous one. This is not a keynote speech, this is a discussion, and I welcome your comments and questions. While Emel Hocam reading my short bio, I was thinking about my academic career, and if, God bless them, if my parents were here, my mom and dad, unfortunately they passed away within the last 18 months, they will be so proud to listen. Although it's in English, I will translate. They will say, yes, he's our son. He worked very hard and he achieved this. perhaps my mom would have cried. If my daughters were here and listen, both of them would laugh and say, "Dad, is that you?" And then on the other hand, my wife would have said, "Yes, you accomplish all of these because of her." All right? So all these different interpretations. Ladies and gentlemen, we are academics. Some of us are from the industry as well. Personally, I don't see any distinction between an industry professional, also an academic. We are all trying to survive and serve the industry. When I was perhaps in middle school, secondary school, I'm originally from Bolu, Turkey. There is a nice lake, beautiful lake called Abant. When I put that photo on my social media, people often say, "Oh, is this in Switzerland or from the United States?" I say, "No, it's from my hometown." So one day, with my friends from our village, we went to Abant Lake. And then I saw tourists for the first time in my life. Very different ladies, very different gentlemen. And I thought they were aliens because they were very different than what I had seen before. And then I saw a nice hotel, Turban Abant Hotel. Wow, what a luxury building. And I said to myself, I will study tourism. That was the reason when I took the exam, boarding school exams in my middle school, secondary school, let's say middle school, I put tourism and hotel school first choice. And then I went to Bolu Otelcilik Turizm Meslek Lisesi, High School of Tourism and Hotel in Bolu, I studied. So my industry career started when I started studying at Bolu's hotel school, high school, which is one of the best high schools in tourism and hospitality so far. Then I went to Mersin School of Hotel and Tourism Management, and Celil Hocam was my professor. He gave me a hard time, and I want to thank him and all other my professors. And at that time, while studying, I only had one dream in my life. Number one, to survive. Number two, become a hotel manager, because that was the dream. I still want to be a hotel manager, right? And by the way, I am an accidental professor. I never wanted to be in academia. My number one dream was to become a hotel manager and own a hotel, and I'm still working on it. Okay? And Mersin Tourism, the school itself, alumni, professors have contributed greatly, not only the Turkish tourism industry, but also the whole world. So many established professors graduated from that school. Having said this, there are many other established hospitality and tourism schools in Turkey. I can name many of them: Balıkesir, Aydın, Nevşehir. I worked at Nevşehir, Antalya, Akdeniz, and so forth. And they're all have been very, very successful and graduated thousands of students, and they have been serving in the industry, right? And Erdem Hocam is here, the alumni chapter, I think, association leader, and he was telling me yesterday how they have been working together at the whole alumni chapters in Turkey to make sure that they can support the academia and the industry. The reason why I'm telling you this, when Emel was reading my bio, I remember she didn't mention Mersin, my high school, and so forth. So it's important to remember. Sometimes my friends, especially my wife, says, I live in the past too much. But if you don't remember your past, you cannot think of your future. And And when I tell stories to my daughters and my students, especially my daughters, they say, Dad, we know this, you have told us 50 times. I say 51 is even better. I repeat, right? So today we will discuss how to become a good academic or how to survive in academia. Sedan is not working. Okay. In 2005, I left Muğla University here in Turkey. And I think I can openly thank the provost at that time for pushing me to leave Muğla University. So I went to University of Central Florida, Rosen College of Hospitality Management. We left with 3 luggages from Turkey, and one of our luggage, one was lost along the way, our 3-year-old baby, and then my wife and myself. It was a journey to unknown, a lot of risks. I resigned from an associate professor position here. 2 years later, I was going to be a full professor. I went to USA took an assistant professor job, okay? And it was unknown. I remember renting an apartment, and three weeks we didn't have furniture. We slept on the floor until we received our furniture. A lot of issues, a lot of uncertainties, challenges. And 2 years later, I became the founding department chair of hospitality services. I didn't ask for it. It was not my plan to be an administrator. I was trying to survive. And then in 2007, the former editor of IJCHM wrote me an email, said, Fevzi, I'm planning to retire. Would you be interested in taking over IJCHM as the new editor? And I read the email. I went to bathroom and washed my face and read it again. It was real. In fact, I was not on the editorial board of IJCHM at that time. But here, some of our friends, Turkish scholars, know I'm the founding editor of Soit in Turkey. I had some experience and I had dream of becoming an editor. So I accepted the editorial role, and my first issue came in 2018. And our second daughter was born in 2007, and IJCHM has grown in our family as our third child. Okay. So since 2007, I have been the editor-in-chief almost, how many years? 15, yes. It was not an SSCI journal, but it has grown over the years. Last year, we received 1,500 submissions over. And this year, as of this morning, 370. We publish 200 articles a year, 12 issues. It is amazing, and I am so proud. But it's a lot of hard work with this. So downloads, 800,000 downloads, and impact factor was 6.5. Sometimes it's not everything within your power. Emerald, our publisher, published 222 articles in 2019 without my permission. They published over 60 more articles than we planned. So that had a negative impact on the impact factor. Normally it should have been 8. This year when they announced, hopefully it will be around 9 anyway. But still we are happy. The downloads, close to 900,000 downloads a year is impressive. You're talking about close to 3,000 downloads from IJCHM every day. And what happened in 2017, we were really happy with the, Sedan, I don't know what's happening. Okay. By the way, I want to thank these individuals here. They have been in my A-team, editorial team. Marissa, Sarah, Mehmet, and all of them. And you can see this handsome man here, Osman Hocam. He's the regional editor for Middle East and Africa. He has done excellent. And I think, Faizan, where is your photo? Oh, here, okay. So Faizan has also done an incredible job. Levin's photo was here. He didn't behave well, so I took it out. The reason is when he had his own journal, I asked him to step down, and he has his own journal, but he served as an regional editor for IJCHM for many years, and I want to thank him as well. All right. So in 2017, we started JHDI. This is, yes. And JHDI, we used to call it as a baby journal, but it's not a baby journal anymore. And I'm so proud in 2021, we received close to 350 submissions. And then this year alone, so far, 120 submissions. And by the end of this year, we should receive 500 submissions. And it's already in the Scopus and Emerging Index, Emerging Citation Index groupings, and then scope is 3.2. I expect JHDI will become an SCCI journal, and Osman Hocam is the now senior associate editor. He will become a managing editor soon. And Gözde is here. She's our social media editor. I think the journal started flying, and I'm really proud. And myself and late Matilda van Niekerk, we started this journal, and it's progressing really well. I think we can now move forward. Sorry for self-promoting these two journals, but I feel really proud of them, and they have contributed tremendously. So when the conference organizers asked me to talk about how to become a good academic, and I had already a presentation on this couple of times I used, but since then I have been updating. I will use this, and then we will have discussions. Good has different meanings, excellent, first class, and so forth. But last night I said, it's not all about success. It's not all about achievements. I think in academia, most of us are struggling, trying to survive. And has any of you received a red carpet welcome? Okay. Have you all been treated nicely? Do you have more bad memories than good memories in academia? Have your administrators, universities acknowledged you, appreciated you enough? I see more no or yes saying, yes, you're right. Okay. Have your family members, spouses appreciated you or criticized you, like why you're working too much? Okay. When you see a successful professor, again, successful professor in terms of what? Successful academic in terms of what? Maybe I may have a lot of citations, a lot of publications, but when I go home, I'm miserable. Maybe many academics don't have friends, family lives, right? So it is often, I think it's not, it is not how to become a good academic or how to be a first-class academic. I think we need to talk more about, come on. How to survive in academia. We are all trying to survive, yes? I don't consider myself as a successful academic yet. We're all trying to survive. Maybe some are more successful than others. Can you move forward, please? This is, okay. We all talk about success, first class awards, but we often have failures and struggles. And many of the successful scholars, academics, they struggle more than anything, a lot of failures. So becoming a successful researcher, publishing in SSCI journals, first-class scholar, teacher, receiving awards, but most of us don't have work-life balance, right? I remember my early days, my daughters would say, Daddy, can we go to a park? Can we play together? I will say, I need to finish this paper. I need to work on this. I need to finalize this. I feel very bad now when I say to my daughters, can we play together now? They say, Dad, you're too boring. We don't want to play with you anymore. We don't want to, spend time with you. I pay them to spend time with us in terms of not cash, but some tricks, all right? We take them to places they like and so forth. Time passed, but I didn't spend enough time with them. And friends, in Turkey, you are very lucky. In some countries, you have a social circle, you have friends, family. And when you live in the United States or in a country, your only thing is you work and work and work and produce. You don't have families, you don't have relatives, friends, you just work. Even you don't spend enough time with your own family members. And then the sad part, because of COVID, for example, my mom passed away, I couldn't come. My dad passed away, I couldn't come to their funerals. So yes, maybe you think I'm a successful academic scholar, but there are also a lot of sacrifices and issues. So what do we do in academia? Any ideas? Who would like to contribute? Let's do this more engaging. Yes, what do we do? Osman Hocam, what do you do? Okay, what are the expectations? What do we do in academia? Teaching, what else? What do you do? Writing, why do you write? Nobody reads anyway. Do you really read to learn? Rarely. Do you read to cite, to support what you want to say? Most of us don't read to learn. Okay, we read to write and justify what we want to say. We stop learning, most of us. Okay, what else? What do you do? What kind of research? Yes, what kind of projects? Okay, very good. So she was working on a project developing tourism in Eastern Turkey, which is very good. I hope that project will help and the tourism industry will grow in that region. That is very meaningful. But we have done a lot of research projects. In reality, our papers, articles contribute to practice very little. Yes, very little. I have 170 articles. I don't know how many of them have really impacted the practice in the industry. Yes, some have. Some of the things I am implementing when I teach, but most of our research has no value, only in shelves, right? Or we repeat. 95% of publications I publish in IJCHM and JHTI are replication studies, very little contribution. Then yet I read articles. This is the best study in hospitality and tourism, as if it cures cancer or even COVID. But in reality, we are talking to ourselves and not contributing to practice. I don't know Levent Hocam's journal, Levent Altınay's journal, what kind of articles he published. Perhaps all articles he published make a huge contribution to the service industries. But in reality, even tourism management, Journal of Travel Research, International Journal of Hospitality Management, many articles we publish are replication studies, very little theoretical contribution, almost no implications for the industry, for practice. Okay. So this is the reality time faced from a professor achieving, let's say I'm towards the end of my career, perhaps another 10, 15 years I can teach, but I'm reflecting. I don't consider myself as a successful scholar, but I'm more trying to survive. I'm trying to survive in academia, right? So many bruises all around. Okay. What else do we do? Hocam, what do you do? Administration, service, yes? Do people appreciate you? You don't think so. I was a department chair at Muğla University. I was a department chair at Rosen College. When I stepped down, I'm sure some partied, very happy, okay? But after 2 years, they all came back and said I was an excellent department chair. They still respect me, but universities don't appreciate those administrators. So what else? We do teach, yes? Yes, yes. Preparing next generations, teaching. So what do we do in life? Okay. Yes, connecting with the industry, yes? But how many of you are really close with the industry? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 5. But I see many professors, because of the research pressure, we are in our cubicles, rooms, collecting data from Amazon, Mechanic Turk, or similar platforms, crunching numbers, statistics, sending the next article to the best journal, International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management. Yes? So a lot of pressure to publish, and not all of us have good connections with the industry. And the industry don't understand what language we are speaking. If you were to tell your research project to this hotel general manager management team, in 3 minutes they will sleep. Or they will say, what the hell, I know already this. You know, you don't tell me this. You can say, oh, you need to treat your customers well. They say, yeah, we know that. You need to treat your employees well. Yeah, I know that. New generations are different. They say, yes, we know that. But they will also say, give me money. I'm struggling financially. Can you solve this problem? Can you bring tourists from Russia, from Ukraine, from Germany? Yes, can you fix the issues at the airport? No, right? So there is a disconnect between the industry and academia, not only perhaps here, but in many countries, including the United States. Because we are very busy with writing articles, right? So I'm guilty of it, writing a lot of articles. So teach, research, service, and connections, and so forth. Okay, next one, Sedan, please. In reality, there is an iceberg. We often see this tip, but in the bottom, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of hard work and issues in reality. Okay? When she was reading my bio, I was like, yeah, these are all the achievements, recognitions, but in the bottom, a lot of sacrifices. So when you see success, achievements, it's hard work, persistence, late nights, weekends, discipline, rejections, courage, a lot of risks. Me resigning from my lifetime, secure job from here, Turkey, and going there without nothing, with 3 suitcases. And my father-in-law openly said to my face, only a dumb student, a stupid person, uneducated person will do that. Resign from your job and take his daughter away and sell the only thing in my life I had saved, my apartment, I purchased, okay? Because in Turkey, in many countries, we all work to have one house, one car, and you sell your car, your house, to go to an unknown place, no security, okay? So, surviving in academia, we make this choice, all right? We made this choice. We wanted to be an academic. But some of us had no choice, okay? Why? Because the industry, the tourism industry was bad. Becoming a professor, teacher was a better option for many of us. For me, when I graduated from the Mersin School of Hotel and Tourism Management, the industry wasn't doing well because Iraq invaded Kuwait, and one of my professors became a dean, head of the school at Nevşehir School of Hotel and Tourism Management, and he said, Fevzi, come and work as a research assistant instructor for 1 year, and then after that you could go. Professor Mümin Ertürk invited me, so I became, because of him, an accidental scholar professor. And after 30 years, I'm still planning to go back to the industry, right? So it is a choice for all of us. Or you had no choice but became an academic. Love your profession. How many of you love really being a professor? Okay, or let's say in academia. But how many of you really feel sometimes, God, I'm so frustrated, I hate this environment? Yes? Yeah, it is like love and hate relationship, yes? You love it, you also hate it. I love going into a classroom, teaching. I love when I see my PhD students standing up and speaking, getting recognitions. I say, my boy, you know, my girl, wonderful. All these things. But on the other hand, when your administrators drive you crazy, when your university doesn't support you, when you struggle, when your best paper is rejected, or you don't have enough money, your kids want something, and you look at your pocket, your bank account, because of your salary, my God, I cannot afford it. Yes? So it is not as pleasant as you think. You will love, and also we hate it. And vision, my motto was to survive in academia or have a job so I could support my parents. I never dreamed of being a successful, highly accomplished professor. And Levent will tell a story years ago. Perry Hobson he graduated from Oxford Brookes University, and he visited us. And me and Levent, we were in this PhD student's lab or office. Professor Perry Hobson was talking to us, and me, my big mouth and my stupid comments often, I said to him, Perry, how many articles do I need to publish to become famous? What a dumb question, yes? He said, Fevzi, Albert Einstein published one article and he became famous. That was amazing, great answer, yes? And because at that time, only dream was for me to publish in English, because my English, still not good, wasn't good. I had a Turkish dictionary translating from Turkish to English, English to Turkish to understand. I was trying to survive. Publishing an article in English was a sign of survival, not being successful or well-known, because we were trying to survive. So I had a vision to survive, not to become a best scholar or established scholar. My focus was, again, to strategic management, hotel management, but again, focus was to keep my head above water. Many times I was underwater for many hours or minutes, because to be able to survive, I had to swim harder, jump harder, and then so forth. Many of them, I can tell you, all scholars, leading scholars, never in a golden plate anything was served. Never a red carpet was laid down for them to welcome, right? So in academia, we are trying to survive, and it's all about following the process. Sometimes process is straight, sometimes the process is uphill. I came back from Oxford Brookes University with my PhD at Muğla University. And in 2001, I applied, I think in 2000, I applied for associate professorship, docent. And 2001, I received my written confirmation, and I had my oral exam at Bosporus University. And I was announced, I passed the oral exam, and I became an associate professor, docent in Turkey, just 1 year after my PhD. Guess what? At Muğla University, I thought they would be happy and welcome me, because as a young, lots of energy assistant professor, became an associate professor. I was the first associate professor in hospitality and tourism. The university senate passed a regulation saying faculty need to spend 5 years to become an associate professor after their PhD. What the hell, right? I was expecting a red carpet welcome. There wasn't any yet. The provost at that time gave me my associate professorship. At UCF, where I work now, in 2009, I applied for a full professorship. After 2 years, I was promoted to associate professor. Perhaps I'm a pusher, right? I wanted to become a full professor very fast. And because of jealousy politics, they blocked my professorship at my university, current university, saying, committee members wrote, he is young and new in his current rank. This is official, I have the record. He has all the accomplishments, Fevzi has all the accomplishments, international recognition, research output, but he is young and new in his current rank. There is no such rule and regulation in academia because of you are young and new, so that's why you cannot become a full professor. Yes, very sad. You can never say to someone, you cannot get a Nobel Prize because you are young and new. It's all based on merit. But it is everywhere. Sometimes process is good, sometimes not. 2 years later, I became a full professor, no worries. But wherever you go, there are struggles, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, process is good. You need to follow the process. Let's move to the next one. But what I see is a lot of dedication, a lot of discipline. Never give up. If you are angry with someone with the process university, never give up. Have discipline and have a focused research agenda. I have 170 academic journal articles. By the way, I must have received perhaps 700 rejections. Perhaps I have the highest rejection number in this room, perhaps those who follow us online, virtually. I am happy to announce it. I'm the #1 scholar who has received the highest number of rejections. Okay? This is part of the game. But also I have published good articles. But if you look at the first 40, 30 articles, they are all strategic management, mostly strategy implementation. And the first 40 articles, I must have written every damn word, every damn reference, every dot, everything. From the heart to the end, I knew I did everything, okay? Because I had to establish myself in that. After 40 articles, my role became more strategic, supervising, guiding, and so forth, right? I had a focused research agenda. Many scholars as well, don't jump from one topic to another. No shortcuts. I don't like working with people, they like shortcuts. Make sure everything is ethical according to rules. And even if an article is accepted, I read one more time, still make corrections and edits. Even a book is ready, still work on it. Every year I update my teaching materials, make revisions, corrections. Even if I get very good high teaching evaluations, that's my habit, right? But I'm sure there are betters than others. So, what is important here, ladies and gentlemen, for us to survive? It's ongoing progress, continuing improvements, and then questioning mind, how we can do something better, and challenging the scientific status quo. I wouldn't advise you to challenge the status quo at your universities, at your departments, because they will burn you down. But you can challenge the scientific status quo, research methods, publications, and research, all right? How to teach better, and so forth. Because universities are too bureaucratic and very traditional, change many things very easily. And what else? I am a strategic management person. Lodging is my industry. I'm strong in qualitative research. I understand quantitative research, but I work with experts who are strong in quantitative research. When I form research teams, #1 is ethics, hard work, no shortcuts. So teamwork is the real answer to all of it. But don't spread too thin. Don't publish everything, all articles in different topics. Have a research focus, especially in your early career. And Ethics, very, very important. It will catch you one way or another, right? As an editor, I see a lot of plagiarism issues and self-plagiarism. It will catch you at one point. Make sure someone is watching you at all time. And if you work even your best friend, your own PhD student, use Identicate software or anything. Make sure you do everything right. When collecting data, no shortcuts, follow ethics, right? Because it's your reputation. How are we doing in terms of time? Next slide, please. Yes, a lot of loneliness. How many of you in this room feel really you have a lot of friends? Okay. Or how many of you feel really lonely in your academic career? All right, I see some hands. Yeah, some honesty. How many of you feel really good? You have so many good friends and friends, and you work in great teams. Very few people, but mostly at one point or more, we feel lonely. This is a lonely process, unfortunately. And continuing struggles. 10, 15 years ago, if you had 10 articles, 15 articles, you were a good researcher. Now, PhD students have 10 articles, 7, 8 articles in top-tier journals. PhD students can teach more courses. So younger generations are better than us, believe it or not, which is good. But a lot of struggles all time. Fierce and unfair competition. Why? Because most of us in this field, academia, English is not our first language. Writing in English is very, very difficult for someone if you're not grown up in that culture, in that language, in writing, right? And then universities in some countries, they have more resources to attend conferences, for grants, for travel, for research assistance. Universities in Turkey, in other countries, you teach 4 courses. To make more money, you teach more courses. To be able to pay off your bills, you teach in the evening. Whereas some universities in the US, you teach 1 course, you have research assistants. So it's not a fair competition. And even in the United States, universities are very different. Even from one department to the other department, things are different in terms of resource and so. And believe it or not, academic jealousy is real. Is not a dream. A lot of jealousy. Even reviewers sometimes get jealous. They reject an article because they are jealous, and I can see that. Their justifications writing, okay? It's real. And failures and rejections. As I told you, I received many journal rejections. During my PhD, after my PhD, when my article was rejected, I would not sleep for 3-4 days, curse the editors and reviewers, very angry. Now I just laugh and say, move on, next journal, okay? Or revise. But this is part of the game. It's part of struggling. As you mentioned, is writing and writing and writing, okay? Lack of resources, funding, it's very common. The problem also, at the same university, at the same department, there may be funding and resources to furnish a room, but there is no funding for your research, for your teaching. That, if I understand, I will support if there is no funding for the whole department, whole college, university. But you see they're building luxury buildings, offices. But when you ask for money for research and teaching, sorry, we have no funding. Okay? This is academia. And statistics and research methods. Statistics and research methods 10, 15 years ago were very advanced. Now, even more advanced. I thought I was expert in certain research methods, techniques. Now I look at them, what the hell, you know, I have no idea. And my PhD students, our PhD students are learning, younger generations are smarter than us. And that is a good way to advance the field. But it's an ongoing process. And also, ladies and gentlemen, family upbringing in Turkey, traditionally, I see it in many countries as well. We are very early age, from primary school to elementary school to high school, we are trained to memorize things and respect authority. Respect your mother, respect your teacher, okay? But when you stop questioning in a very professional, scientific way, when you continue memorizing, then there is no creativity because you're accepting everything they say. During my PhD advisor said, how do you criticize Henry Mintzberg? How do you criticize Michael Porter in strategic management? To me, that was the breaking point. I said to her, they are like gods, okay? How can I criticize? They are great scholars. The way they wrote, they know everything. You cannot criticize them. And she said to me, when you start criticizing their work, their publications, then you see the gaps in their research, their articles, their findings, then you can publish, you can contribute. But it took me some time to be able to criticize their work. But it's coming from my family upbringing, from my elementary, high school, college education. It took me some time to be able to criticize, find holes, gaps in previous studies, because when we see a professor, and how dare you criticize, especially in Turkey, for example, you are a junior researcher and writing about Fevzi Okum's article, and it's possible that he may come to your defense, master's defense, PhD defense, your professorship, associate professorship, jury, and even your professorship, or he may have friends coming to your thing. It's the close society links, right? But in the United States, it's different. You can criticize professionally or show how you're building on previous studies. And graduate studies in the United States, PhDs is all about research methods. A lot of statistic research methods courses. I did my PhD, my half PhD in Turkey. It was a lot of reading, writing, but not criticizing. And a lot of general knowledge as well, a lot of memory and repetition, a lot of description. I'm sure things have changed for the last 30, 20 years, but PhDs make a huge difference where you do your PhD or your professor. Okay, next one, please. Oh. Advisors, professors, I'm grateful. My PhD advisor taught me how to critically think, but if not, I wouldn't be survivor. I couldn't survive. So make sure you pick the right person as your advisor and learn how to criticize in a professional way. Find holes, find gaps in research, right? Mentors, I'm grateful. I had many good mentors. Muzo Uysal, for example, has been my mentor, and Jafar Jafari, and our former dean, A.P. Zem. You need someone sometimes to go and be able to talk objectively, right? Friends, I'm lucky to have wonderful friends. When I felt lonely, when I felt struggling, when I had, really I was depressed, it's good to talk to someone, to vent. So, and many academics are lonely. They don't have many friends. And sometimes your academic colleagues cannot be your good friends as well. You need people from outside, right? And that's why before COVID, it was wonderful. I could travel and I had friends outside academia and just talk. And I was also lucky, I need to mention, Dr. Matilda van Niekerk was my good friend, and she came from the industry and she could understand many things. And unfortunately in 2019, she passed away, but for 5-6 years, I could vent and she could guide me and So you need to have a good friend in academia or outside to be able to feel comfortable in terms of your teaching, writing, your progression, and so forth. And partners, spouses, yes. If your partner, wife, husband, partner don't understand, if your family members don't understand what you're doing, it's hell, it's painful. And if they sacrifice their careers for you and you don't spend enough time with them, the weekends, holidays, and so forth, it's painful, right? So they need to understand, and you need to support them as well. Family and parents, only thing, in my life, one of the things I regret, not being able to spend enough time with my parents. Yes, they were proud, but unfortunately, it was not, I dreamed that I would look after them when they were old. I did, but when they died, I wasn't there. That's the sad part. As you mentioned, one of you mentioned industry collaboration. For the last 5 years, how are we doing by the time? Yes, moderator? Are we okay with the time? Yes, okay, good. After I became an eminent professor, chair professor, after publishing so many articles, and after having many successful PhDs, I started like, what the hell? What is the meaning? I always had a good relationship with the industry, but for the past 5 years, I am doing a lot of industry workshops, a lot of training with the industry. I deliver workshops, seminars. My God, they know a lot of things we don't know, and they don't know a lot of things we know. It's wonderful. One of the chief operating officers in Orlando is my close friend. I do a lot of consulting. I'm also doing a consulting with a title company, auto title company. It's privatized in the United States. And from the beginning, for the past 5 years, I'm doing consultancy. We like strategic management, their mission, vision, values, their strategic direction, their goals, their values, and all the strategic decisions we consult. And he implements, or they implement, come back, and then a lot of progression, strategic moves, acquiring a business, closing one part. What a nice thing. And delivering seminars to students, to managers. It's wonderful. Whatever we teach in those seminars, in those decisions, we are practicing. I feel so good when we finish those seminars, those consulting, because it's like doctors, okay? Medical schools, they learn, they teach, and then they practice on patients. In hospitality and tourism, we teach, we speak, but some of us cannot manage a hotel. We cannot manage a tourism office, but we are good talkers. So we are detached, most of us, from the industry. I was like that for some time, but thanks God, good. Networking, a good faculty member, scholar should be a good networker. Wherever you attend a conference, a meeting, anything, you must not just exchange business cards, but follow. And when you follow, make things happen. 3 weeks ago, this is a real accomplishment. I feel so good. I attended Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association's Employee Relations Committee. I'm a member. This is an industry association, and I attended their committee meeting. One association came, EmployU, said, we train high school students with disabilities and those adults with disabilities, and we want to work with hotels, they said, in Orlando, in Central Florida. After the meeting, I went there and said, listen, why don't we work together? Rosen College, where I work, and you. And they submitted a scope of work. I checked it, talked to the dean and administrators. Now we will do a summer camp at Rosen College. They will bring high school students with disabilities, and we will train those students about what is hospitality, what is tourism, what kind of jobs we have, how to treat customers, how to interact customers, how to write CVs, okay? And then we will show them kitchens, housekeeping rooms, and then take them to hotels, Ritz-Carlton, Hyatt, Convention Center. Yes. And then from 25 to 50 students, they think it may be even 100 students. Right? So this is my networking. Just after that meeting, I said, why don't we work? So I saw the opportunity and they are very happy. Hopefully we will make this happen and help students and families, right? Yes, I'm a boring professor, but I also care for the industry and for the community. And according to research, a disabled child staying at home costs $3 million to taxpayers in the United States. If that kid doesn't work for his life, $3 million. But if he or she works, he contributes to the society, family are happy, and engagement and satisfaction and so forth. So we need to think broader, not just publications. So teamwork, collaboration, we mentioned. I published 10, 15 articles, I teach courses, but I'm lucky I have many colleagues, friends, several research teams that I trust all of them. And I check everything as well. I'm a sometimes control freak. But teamwork, collaboration is key. But I tell you, when you meet someone at a conference, do not trust that person immediately, because I have seen my work has been stolen, or I gave feedback on a paper they published without my name, they promised. So write down as an email. If someone approaches you to work on a research paper, write an email and say, Dr. Fevzi, Dr. Okumus, we met at this conference. We agreed to work on this paper. I will do this, this, this. You will do this, this. She will do this, this, this. We will publish this paper here, and we have to finish our work by this date. And if there is another paper, we will submit it here. I will be the first author. You will be the second author. Everything is in writing, because when you talk in conferences, your words don't go into files, right? There are a lot of sharks in academia. They are willing to take your work and so forth. Just be careful. And don't give everything your data set and so forth, right? Be careful. But forming good teams is the solution. Trust is so important. Number one, when I work with people, I want to trust. Long-term trust. I see scholars, they publish 3, 4, 10 articles. Yes, I'm almost there. When they publish several articles, they think they know everything. They don't need you. They start doing shortcuts. But it doesn't work like that. Your friendship, your collaboration is lifetime. If you do shortcuts and betray trust, it will damage your reputation. The most important thing in academia is not your publications, is not your citations, is your brand image. When they say, oh, he's a wonderful person, he's good, she's helpful, an honest person, that is more important than your citations. Next one, please. Teaching. The reason I put here, many of us ignore teaching. They say, oh, as long as I have good publications, doesn't matter. But teaching is very important. Pay attention. And whatever you do research, incorporate in your teaching. I teach strategic management. I use all my articles, books, and everything. We have a book with Levent knows. He's a co-author. We're very happy with the second edition, and third edition will be even better. Okay. Teaching is really key. Love teaching. Next one is, yes, please. Oh. Oh. Service. Be a department chair at one point. Definitely serve on university committees, not at your college. I met many people from my university at university committees. This is really important. I mentioned industry connection. I mentioned associations. charities. Believe me, Orlando is the happiest place on earth, yes? That is the motto. But in Orlando, if I remember correctly, around 5,000 homeless kids in Orlando. There are so many people homeless in the United States. If you go to California, unbelievable. I was so devastated when I went to California, Los Angeles, San Diego. People live on streets. Okay? So help a lot of homeless people in the United States, very concerning. And we need to do something about it. Unemployment, poverty. And by the way, you must have hobbies as a scholar. Not everything is academia. Fishing, perhaps. I walk every day, try to walk. Do something different. Okay? You have to clear your mind. Give back, mentoring, not just in academia, but also in other fields. Giving back, giving back. Charities, helping. For example, one of the best things I did, this is not a self-promotion, or I helped my high school in Bolu. We decorated, we refurbished a lab in my high school. I helped financially. I felt so good about it. Okay? It was about 7, 8 years ago. So giving back is really key. Work-life balance, health, I didn't care this until I was 45. But I tell you, as long as you are young, most of you, make sure you look after your health. After 45, you start seeing yellow lights and then red lights. And I had COVID 2 years ago, October 2020. 9 days in hospital, I had to reconsider everything. That was very, very scary. And then your second career, whatever you are in academia, think about if you resign, step down, finish, what would you do? Okay. Think about it. I started investing in real estate, little by little. I'm not a rich real estate investor, but it's a hobby for me because I can clear my mind. I don't need to worry about that article, this article. So I can cut off and then look at it or do other things, but it's a hobby as well. Next one and final, we finish. This is the most important slide, ladies and gentlemen. It is really important where you work, your department, your faculty, your college, and your university. If I'm grateful to Nevşehir or Erciyes University, I'm grateful to Muğla University, but if I had stayed at Muğla University, I don't think I could progress as much as now because of resources or politics or other issues. And if you are not happy where you are, if possible, move. As long as you find a place that you can progress. And your administrators, your department chair, your dean can make your life heaven and also hell. Same policies. Some department chairs see themselves gate openers. Some deans see themselves gate openers, supporting servant leadership. Some see themselves like army generals. No, you cannot do it. You obey me, you respect me. I have the resources, okay? So unfortunately, there are many of them, by the way, many nasty administrators. And some administrators, they cannot teach, they cannot do research, they become administrators. And it's a lifetime job, unfortunately. All right, city and country where you live. I'm lucky in Orlando because it's the capital of the hospitality industry. Antalya is very similar, but connect with the industry, and it's really, really important. Researcher's life cycle. Mine is, you have this famous life cycle theory, growth, decline, maturity, and so forth. Perhaps mine is maturity stage and declining gradually. So think about your life cycle, career researcher's life cycle, and make decisions. But be positive all the time. Concluding comments, ladies and gentlemen, academia is fun, we love, but we also hate. And it's not all about success, but also a lot of survival, how to survive, how to struggle. It's like a roller coaster. We are all in a roller coaster, sometimes falling down, sometimes going up, sometimes dark, but keep hanging on there. And the thing is, what good habits do you have? They say if you do something 20 times, it becomes gradually a habit. If you do the same thing 90 times, it's part of your life. Now, if I don't walk a day, something is missing, right? So think about your good habits. Every day you read, every day you write, and every day you work with someone or once a week. And if you're an administrator, ladies and gentlemen, please think every day how I can support a faculty, how I can support my best performing faculty, how I can open a door, how I can give resources. Don't forget, when you step down, become a regular faculty or retire, those faculty members will never contact you if you are really nasty. If you are nice, they will appreciate you. Many faculty members, when I was a department chair, now they come and say, they're not joking, I mean they're sincere. They say, oh, you were the best department chair. Why don't you become a dean? I say, no, dean is not in my radar administration anymore, okay? But we need to be supportive. And another thing, giving back, how can you support junior faculty? I receive almost an email almost every day, every week from Turkey, from other countries. Professor Okumuz, I want to come to your university. I wish I could say yes to everyone. I wish I have money, resources to invite all of them, but because of resources and other things, not easy. But they don't need to come to US. From distance, I work with many scholars. Sometimes I refer to them to different professors, right? But we need to help each other. Last one. This is strategic management class, the last slide, okay? I'm a strategic management person. What is your mission in life? Why you exist? And then what is your vision? My vision was to survive. Okay. I didn't think I would become a successful, established professor. I'm still struggling. But think about your mission in life. My mission was to save my family. Because I come from a mid-income, low-income family, like many of us. The only thing was to get a job, support family, make your parents proud of you. And then vision, become a good hotel manager, own a hotel. I'm still working on it, despite I became a good academic, hopefully. What success means to you? Now, success is not just publications. To me, success is now 100% my kids, their education, well-being. But 10 years ago, I was not thinking of it. So, and female faculty members, I see that they are mothers, they are wives, they are daughters, they are academics. I think they are struggling more than male faculty members, right? And also, believe it or not, there is glass ceiling in the industry, and it just, ladies struggle more, I must admit, than male academics. So we need to support female faculty members perhaps more. And then what is your bucket list? Write down 10 things, 50 things you want to do. My bucket list, for example, I want to visit 100 countries. So I'm somewhere in 65, I think, okay? Or I want my bucket list perhaps have another 10 PhD students and so forth, all right? My bucket list, I have 3 items some of my close friends know in terms of charity one day I want to accomplish. But it requires $100 million to accomplish those. So if any of you can lend me 100 million, that will be wonderful. So I finished my workshop, again, not a keynote speech, with how to become a good human being is the key question, rather than asking how to become a successful academic, how to become a first-class academic. I am saying how to survive in academia. I have tried to survive, right? Over 20, 30 years. A lot of struggles, sacrifices, failures. But I have survived so far. But the key question for us is, yes, how to survive in academia, how to become a successful scholar, academic. But the key is how to become a good human being. If we are all good human beings, then suddenly things are very different. You are ethical, you are supportive, you are honest, you are hardworking, you are professional. And it's the positivity and dedication will solve many issues. And jealousy will perhaps go away. As an editor, when I reject a paper, let's say when I make decisions, if I'm very happy on that day, I don't make decisions. If I'm angry about something, I don't make decisions. I delay. I have to be neutral. So I think the key for all of us is to how we can become good human beings. If we think about it, the whole, not just academia, I think the whole world will be a better place. Yes. So I wish all of you to become, good human beings and also survive. Good luck in surviving in academia because it's very brutal, very competitive. And we have, I think, time for a couple of questions. And sorry, I'm not used to talking this long. And I wasn't prepared to give this speech as the first speech of the conference. And now conference organizers promised a business class trip back to Orlando. All right, thank you very much. Yes. Yes, sure.
Sorry, Ken.
Yes,
Shall I
I'm
repeat?
hearing.
So we are losing our students. I mean, the case, Muharrem Hoca knows better than me. Like there are now other professors from other universities as well. So we have less students to just prefer to study in tourism now, hospitality. And you have mentioned like the sector is quite hard as well. So do you think this should be a kind of mission for like academic, like academia,
Okay.
to do something for these young people?
Couple of observations. Personally, I feel every university, every professor is different in terms of priorities. Some of you may focus highly on teaching, some of you may focus highly on research, some may be highly on service. My advice, you have to be good in all three. Don't just focus on teaching, don't just focus on research or service, equally be good at it. Or at least try. Because I know some very good researchers, they're very lousy teachers, low teaching evaluations and so forth. And service, they don't want to serve on anything, which is not good. No industry connections. Your second comment, my wife is also an academic, and for especially for the past 6 years, she has been preparing for promotion and tenure. Firsthand, I experienced this stress and pain. Whenever she was stressed and worried, I was the punching bag. Very painful. Yet she was a mother, wife, daughter, a lot of struggles. Okay? I fully 100% feel, and we need to do a lot of things for female faculty. Going back to your enrollment question, it is not just in this country. It's because of COVID, it's global. Number of enrollments declining globally. On the other hand, there are also so many hospitality and tourism programs. Sometimes it's not necessary to open so many programs. Okay, sometimes universities become like a temporary place to keep people for unemployment. Right? I love education. The higher the education ratio, high university education, the better it is for the country. But we have to strategically think. And in the long term also, my advice, for example, Rosen College graduates, 95% they find jobs in the industry. But gradually they move out from hospitality tourism to banking, to retail, to other sectors. So we teach business administration applied in hospitality and tourism. So we need to train our kids to have skills, knowledge, so they can work in other industries, other fields, not just in hospitality and tourism. I think hopefully when COVID is gone or declines fully, the enrollment will go up, but also even hospitality professors, if I don't teach strategic management in hospitality schools, I can go and teach strategic management in healthcare, in business, in other fields. So you be prepared, prepare yourself, second career, right? As I mentioned, you need to think like, if I cannot teach here, if I cannot continue working, what will I do? So think about which other disciplines you can teach. It's not an easy solution. Enrollment is a concern globally, right? Yes, we should encourage, and hospitality tourism is the #1 sector, and people will continue traveling. People ask me like, there is still COVID, why are you traveling? I said, I'm addicted. I must travel. I haven't traveled for 2 years. Now it's time for me to travel. I felt so good. I was smiling when I went to the airport. Yes. Okay, 1 or 2 more questions. Yes. I don't see a problem. Perhaps there were 5,000 similar scholars like Michael Porter, and only one became famous. Among your generation, perhaps there are 50,000. Only 1 or 2 or 5 of them will come up with something new, and then we will know him or her in 3-5 years. Michael Porter doesn't become Michael Porter overnight, right? So they will propose a new methodology. They will propose a new approach, a new perspective. Just wait. They are rising. Then you develop your own theory and they will talk about you. You will be the next Michael Porter. As I mentioned, what is your vision? All right. If you combine 3 theories and name your own theory, you have your own method, then you are a guru, okay? And if people accept it. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, online?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, dear professor, we kindly ask a few more minutes for
Yes.
you to keep you in the stage, and I would like to invite our co-chair, Levent Altunay, to present your plate. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yes.
Dear participants, now we will move forward for our keynote speech. And I would like to invite you, Min-Kui Wang, Editor-in-Chief of Journal of Service Research. And she's also Distinguished Professor of National Taiwan University and also Fellow of European Marketing Academy. And the session will be moderated by Professor Ali Öztürk from Eastern Mediterranean University, North Cyprus. We highly recommend to have you here, and please keep our process, and then we would like to go on the session. Please be with us. Thank you.
So, dear participants, good morning. Can you hear me? So, I would like to introduce the first keynote speaker of the conference on managing tourism across continents. It's a great honor and privilege. Good morning. Morning, you hear me? It's a great honor and privilege for us to host Professor Dr. Ming-Wei Huang, the first keynote speaker of the conference on managing tourism across continents. It's a great I would like to share with you the bio of this prolific scholar. Professor Huang is Distinguished Professor of AI, Artificial Intelligence, Marketing, e-marketing, e-commerce, and IT service at National Taiwan University. I would like to share with you. She is a fellow of the Association for Information Systems, the first and only Asian-based lifetime fellow of European Marketing Academy, international research fellow of the Center of Corporate Reputation, University of Oxford, UK, and distinguished research fellow of the Center of Excellence in Service, University of Maryland, USA. She specializes in interdisciplinary research with publications encompassing both academic and managerial journals in marketing, information systems, and strategy, such as Journal of Service Research, Journal of Marketing, Journal of Academy of Marketing Science, Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, California Management Review, International Journal of Research and Marketing, Journal of Management Information Systems, Decision Sciences, Journal of Consumer Psychology, Journal of Retailing, Information and Management. She is the editor-in-chief of Journal of Service Research, the 8th highest cited business journal and the 1st highest cited service journal, associate editor of Information and Management Communications of the Association for Information Systems, and serves on the editorial boards of Journal of Marketing, Journal of Academy of Marketing Science, International Journal of Research in Marketing, International Journal of E-commerce, and Journal of Strategic Information Systems. She served as director of the Management Research Program at the Ministry of Science and Technology, Taiwan, which is the major source of funding of basic research in the fields of information systems, marketing, and management science. And she has received Distinguished Research Award on Management Research from Ministry of Science and Technology, Taiwan, twice. So today, Professor Huang will share with her precious speech on AI as customer. During the keynote speech, the participants will be able to write their questions using the Zoom Q&A chat. Professor Huang, welcome to the conference. It's an honor for us, and the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me now? I hope can you hear me? Can someone respond to me? I always have to say that. Thank you. I always have to say that.
We need to unmute the microphone of Professor Huang.
Yeah, it's unmuted. Unmuted. So someone say yes, they can hear me. So, but can you hear me, Ali? Can you hear me? I want to make sure because someone respond. Yes, we can. Okay, that's great. Okay, so if it's loud enough, Everything all right? Okay, everything all right. I'm very happy to be able to be here to give the keynote. And I was here 1 hour ago. So, and only at that time I realized the talk delayed for 1 hour for some reason. I don't know why. So I sort of caused some sort of last minute rearrangement from my side. But everything should be all right now. And thank you very much for the very nice introduction. So I think I would like to share my slide with you so that I can. Okay, can you see my slide? I assume you can see my slide, right? Good. Okay, so it's a very nice introduction. Thank you, Ali, for that. And that is always the part I like most for any talk because I want to hear all these very nice introduction. But I also put a brief introduction here for myself, just in case that you don't know who I am. And as has been introduced, I'm the editor-in-chief of Journal of Service Research. And the basic background, you can see that I'm involved is the international community across 3 continents. That really make my life crazy, but it's also let me be able to connect with the service community globally. That I'm quite proud of that. And AI as customer, the topic of my talk today, is based on my most recent publication, AI as Customer, published in Journal of Service Management. And so it's very interesting because we really like this topic, and then we're thinking about how can we develop a concept, and this concept further, and to fit into, to make people realize that actually AI can be customer, and we are part of AI customer, or we are the AI customer all the time, but we don't realize. As long as you are using your iPhone to search information, to get weather information, and to buy things, if I use Alexa to buy things for you, actually you're part of AI customer, but we don't realize that. We don't realize we're AI customer. So we think we really need to bring this to people's attention that we are AI customer anywhere, anytime, and AI customers are customers who are partially fully AI. Probably you feel a little bit more confused about how can that fully AI? I will talk more about that possibility as we move on to my talk. But as I mentioned, as long as you are using a smart device, your smartphone, your iPhone, or any other device that you're using at home, actually you are partially AI customers, because the AI are doing consumption tasks for you. And if AI assume tasks, they were formally performed by humans that you as a human customer. This implies that AI can be making consumption decisions. And if AI is making consumption decisions, then AI is customers. We tend to ignore that, and we don't understand that, especially when now we use a smart device. We even have smart refrigerators, and they can automatically refill and monitor your inventory and automatically refill for you. That's AI. AI help you to make consumption decisions and to carry out consumer behavior. And in that case, AI is part of it. AI are part of you as a customer. And then we have all this research. I think it's Michael Rowan Ross since 1997 has mentioned the idea about the dawn of computer behavior. That's very early. And in his most recent research, 2020 in IGRN, he also talk about a lot of ideas that people think are crazy, but actually they are not crazy. That's part of AI as customers. It's our daily life, and we just don't realize it. So I can use some examples to illustrate. You can see that in a B2B setting, AI as customers, you can see like automatic replacement. AI-driven replacement system uses algorithm to analyze real-time data across the ecosystem. That is so common to optimize stock levels and to ensure timely delivery. And it's all automatic from both the supplier side and also from the buyer side. And that only through this kind of AI-driven replacement systems that global supply chain is possible. Otherwise, it's not possible, not to mention the so-called just-in-time delivery and to rebuy, to replenish and to optimize your stock level. It's not possible without such kind of system. And when such kind of system involves all actors in the ecosystem, you cannot count how many actors you have. For example, like in Taiwan, we are the lead chip supplier all in Taiwan. And then when the supply chain broken, and then you can see that people did not realize before how was it supplied globally, and only when the supply chain is broken because of COVID, because of the struggles brought about by COVID pandemic. Now you can see that suddenly we realize that when replacement become not automatic, or the problem emerges, then you can see how important it is. It's because the global ecosystem, it is at the global level, and it involves all different kinds of actors, and it's impossible to do it manually. It's all automatic. And that's when it's all automatic, then it's AI as customers, because AI as the buyers. And then the system can be provided by the suppliers or the buyers. It can be both sides. It depends on who dominates the market. When Taiwan dominates the international global chip market, then the system is more likely to provide it by the supplier. But if the buyer is a very big buyer, like iPhone or Apple computer, it is such a big buyer, so it has this kind of international global global sourcing system, and it has all the supplies all around the globe. Without this kind of automatic system, Apple is not able to source globally for all the components it requires for his devices. So here, this is a B2B examples, and B2B buyers, Apple is a very big main dominant B2B buyers in for its devices. And how about the B2C example? As a consumer, you're probably more familiar with the B2C examples, like when Alexa can do the shopping. At the lowest level, you can say Alexa. You can say, Alexa, what's the which brand? What would be the best brands in what's the best restaurant? And you can Alexa can respond to you and make shopping or make searching for the best restaurant easier in your neighborhood. And so Alexa makes shopping easy for human customers. But Alexa does not stop there. It also can do the shopping for you. Currently, it manages to do the shopping online for you, but it can place an order. So when Alexa places an order for you, it's more advanced. It's not just make shopping easier. It also move one level up to just go ahead to make the shopping for you. And so you can, as a human consumer, you can just take care of the consumption part. You don't have to go through all this kind of hassle to do the shopping if you don't enjoy shopping. And then you can see the Google Assistant, and they can make service reservation on behalf of human customers. You can make the reservation. So at this time, actually, it's a human service provider deal with AI customers, because Google Assistant just on behalf of the human customer make the reservation for you. So you don't have to make the reservation. Do you like to, you can see this is kind of a typical example that a lot of consumptions are routine, and you really don't like to do it. And if you don't like to do it, and then you probably wish someone can do it for you. And then AI can, in this situation, really can make your life easier by taking care of the part of consumption behaviors that you don't enjoy and you don't want to do. And the autonomous car, the higher this level, even higher level, autonomous cars can drive without human customers' active involvement. And I recently see a TV commercial. I think it's very smart. It's TMC Sierra. The car has the hands-free cruise driver assistant technology. And in a commercial, you can see that at the beginning, they just show the drivers. Initially, the driver's hands are on the wheel. And then they begin to plot and remove their hand. Their hands are not controlling the car, the driving. So you feel that is kind of dangerous. How can I do that? And then as the commercial move on, you realize it's hands-free. It's a hands-free cruise driver assistant technology. So it helps you. You even don't have to put your hand on the wheel. And then you can free your hands for some other task. that you want to do, probably not for a long time, but for a brief time when you're driving, when you need to use your hands for something else. And you are allowed to do that with the driver assistant technology. So you can see that AI as customers really help free consumers to allow consumers to do more things, more desirable things by taking care of the parts that consumers may not want to do. And so this is all these examples, B2C examples of AI as customers. And you can see it's very common. It's very common in our daily life, and we don't realize that. So you can see that we propose the concept that AI can be customers at 3 levels. And at the first level, AI augments human customer. And then move on to the higher level, AI replaces human customer. And then to the highest level, AI is the customer itself. And this is based on our concept, the paper we published in Journal Retailing, a framework for collaborative AI in marketing. And you may feel very confused about how come AI replaces customer? If AI replaces human customer, then we don't have human, and then we don't have human customer. And at the end, if AI is the customer, then where is human customer? So actually it means for at the lowest level, AI is used to augment human customer. It means AI enhances consumption utilities by increasing your output, by increasing human customers' output. For example, Alexa can answer questions for you. You can ask questions without using the keyboard when you don't have the keyboard. You can just ask questions. And then ask questions, you can get weather information, you can get road information, you can get a lot of information you like. But don't try to make we will introduce their different levels of AI customers. Don't if you use Alexa, don't ask too complicated questions, because Alexa will definitely say, oh, we don't know. For example, if you ask Alexa, okay, what is Trump doing today? Is Trump a good president? And Alexa will say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't find an answer for that. We cannot find an answer. So you can ask really simple factual questions, not opinions. Alexa won't answer questions about opinions. It will answer about simple factual questions, but it can be very powerful. And after you get the weather information, after you get the road condition information, you can see that when you drive, you can be more well prepared. And then that means prepared, and then you can increase your output increase your utility. And if you ask which restaurant that you can go to at that time, then you can choose the right one. In that case, then AI enhances consumption utilities. That's at level 1. AI is more like a consumption assistant. That's what we said, all these virtual assistants, Siri, Alexa. AI is more like a human customer's consumption assistant. But that's not just, that's what we have now, and we are more familiar with that part. But that's not the whole story. AI also can replace human customers, but we don't mean actually get rid of human customers. We mean replaces human customers' effort. So you reduce input required for the human customer. So at this stage, at this level, AI performs specific consumption tests autonomously. It does not require humans' input at that time. It can do that. It can do the specific consumption tests autonomously. For example, when Alexa, not just to answer your question about where to buy, it actually can, if you just routinely buy certain things and the items are available from Amazon, and Alexa just buy things online directly for you, order from Amazon, there's automatic refill. It doesn't need your input to do it, and then you can just do it autonomously. So you replace your effort for doing that. And so let's say input, reduce input for the human customer. Then at the third level, AI is the customer. It means AI can perform all the consumption tests autonomously. So not just the output is increased and the input is reduced. You can increase output and reduce input for the human customer at the same time. And then you also can optimize the combination, to what degree you want to increase your output and to what degree you want to reduce your input. And then so in that case, AI is the customer in our definition. And here we have an example because we don't have Alexa to be able to do that. So we switched the example about Google ad buying. If you are doing ad buying, you can see that Google has the autonomous agent to do that. There's no way human involved in that. But how about as a customer, you want to buy a keyword ad. Do you buy manually? No, that's old day. That's old way. You also can use the use Google's ad buying and selling platform and the Google or keyword option, platform to choose the best keywords for you. So regardless, is from the both the buyer side and seller side, it's all automatic. You don't need human involvement in the process. I often say to my students that regardless you are still doing the search engine optimization, where you are doing the social media optimization. These days, social media marketing or search engine marketing. In the old days, probably just even 5 years ago. If you are doing that, then you should expect your life expectation will be shorter, because the time pressure is so high. You have to monitor the process. Everything happens so quickly. Google and Facebook can automate their side, but buyer side are not automated yet. And so too, you have to monitor the performance of your social media marketing, and to see whether it goes to the wrong direction or right direction. And then you have to decide when to have your ad on, at what time of the day, and what day of the week. And now you don't have to worry about that anymore. Or a very high percentage of social media marketing or search engine marketing are fully automated from the buyer side and the seller side. And you don't have to worry about that. It's really worry-free. That part has very high degree of automation. And so you can see AI can be customers at the 3 levels, starting from augment human customer, replaces human customer, and be the customer. And this is based on, this is a figure I take directly from our journal retailing paper called Collaborative AI. And you can forget about the implications for marketers part, because today we are talking about AI as the customer. So you can look at the implications for consumers part. So for the implication for consumer part, you can see mechanical AI. We propose there are multiple AI intelligences. The lowest level is mechanical AI, and then move on to the thinking AI. And that's what we currently have right now. Mechanical AI is in the past, but it's yesterday technology, but it still is widely used. And then we are having thinking AI. You can see we have predictive analytics, and we have a lot of business analytics to help us make decisions. So we are currently having thinking AI. And the feeding AI is tomorrow's technology, because we don't have true feeding AI yet, but that is rapid developing. And so if you look at the 3 AI intelligences, you can see that at each level, AI is always first augments human labor, human consumer, and then replace, augment and replace. So if you look at the implications for consumers illustrated, you can see that at the mechanical level, you can see at the beginning, in the very, very old days, we have electronic uprights, vacuum cleaners to help consumers do house cleaning chores. So you have to get involved with it. You cannot say you are hand-free. You have to get involved with it, because you have to use the upright vacuum cleaner to help you to do the job. You have to be there, not very present, right? And then we move on. Now we have the Zumba of robotic vacuum cleaners. You don't have to be there. You can just do it automatically. It actually makes your meal a lot better, right? And then if we move up to the thinking level, price, when we augment consumer thinking. For example, do you still remember those old e-commerce days? You have to go online, and we have a lot of price or product comparison website to help us to choose the right product at the price. Even if those services are very good, they help us to make the right decision. But those comparison is really very time consuming. A lot of person don't want to do it. I don't like to do it. So now we have the replay. We have product recommendation engines that just give you the recommendation. For example, when you watch Netflix, it gives you the recommendation. You don't have to compare 100 different movies in order to choose the best one. That make it your life even easier. And then to the feeding AI part. Sentiment analysis, this is very often, especially in the hospitality and tourism industry, that you very often have to look at consumers' online reviews and then to help to understand what consumers are thinking and feeling. And now even you don't have to analyze at the highest level, you don't have to analyze those sentiment analysis. You just based on consumers' reaction. For example, if you analyze facial expression, consumer's facial expression, you can know immediately, is consumer happy with you? Right in the frontline interaction, you know their mood. By looking at their facial expression, you don't have to do very tedious sentiment analysis. So you can see this is the entire thing we are talking about, that different level of AI customers, and that then it shows there are different types of AI customers. And then original concept proposed is multiple AI intelligences, and then published in 2018 Journal Service Research. That is really a crazy, this paper is very impactful and has been cited crazily. And every day, if you look at the Google citation, it's just increase every day. I think now it's more than it's thousands already. And you can see we propose there are multiple intelligences. Mechanical intelligence are the kind of intelligence that for doing repetitive or routine consumption tasks. And the thinking intelligence is the intelligence for analyzing data and come to a decision or come up with a decision recommendation. Feeding intelligence. Feeding intelligence is the intelligence that for communication, for interaction, when communication and interaction is very important for consumption tasks, you need a feeding intelligence. And then the key is for the three intelligence that can be applied to both humans, to both humans and AI. It's not just for AI. And so in that case, both AI or humans can have the three intelligences, and then what you need to decide is the bottom part. Do you want AI to do it, or you want yourself to do it? At the mechanical level, when mechanical AI is the customer, it can help you to reduce physical efforts or automate repetitive or routine tasks for human customers. Like the Roomba, like the house chore, you probably don't want to do it. Or every week you go to grocery shopping to refill your fridge. Mechanical AI, smart fridge can do much better. And so you don't have to do that. I'm not sure, is anybody here really enjoy to do the grocery shopping? I found that kind of weekly grocery shopping really tedious. So if you don't like to do that, if you don't like to do those house cleaning, if you don't like to do the do anything about your yard, I had that part too, then a mechanical AI can do for you. And then for thinking AI's customer, thinking AI can assume the thinking tasks that you don't want to do, or you probably are not capable of doing. For example, do you like to do any sort of price comparison, product comparison? No, I don't like that. I hate that. It's very difficult. Or you really just like to do the calculation, do a lot of calculation. You probably don't like to do a lot of calculation. And so if you don't like, a thinking AI can do much better than you. Or sometimes it's not because you don't like, it's because you probably cannot do it and not capable. If you are not a mathematician or a statistician, you probably don't like, you cannot do it very well. So in that case, you can use a thinking AI to help you to think better or analyze better. And for the feeding intelligence level, and you can see feeding AI customer, they can meet customers' social and their relationships need. So in that case, I often like to use the example that there is some sort of gender stereotype about female is better in feeding intelligence and male is not so good. And male is better in thinking intelligence. And so we are talking about, I really want my students to have to develop the kind of applications that is more like empathetic chip. That as long as you insert the chips into people, low consumers who have no empathy, zero empathy at all, and once you implement the chips, then the people can begin to feel other people's emotions. That really help. And it's not just a joke or commercial product. Actually, people begin to think whether they can have that kind of empathetic AI. Chips to implement into autism kid, and so that they can help them to feel other people's feeling, because they cannot do that because of the disease. So you can see that actually it had great implications about you can use feeding AI to help consumers to meet their social and their relationship needs. And for employees, frontline employees, of course, that's the same. A lot of frontline employees may be very good at thinking, but they probably just not very empathetic. And being empathetic is required for their job. So if you can hire people who are good at empathetic intelligence, then probably if you can have the AI chips to help, then really can make them, you can transform the people, your employees to have better empathetic capability. So if you take humans and AI in service provision into consideration, and we can have 2x2 combinations. On the left-hand side is a human side. You can have human service provider, and also can have human customer. And on the when should I stop? Sorry, when should I stop my talk? Let me try to control my time. Ellie, do you know that? When should I stop my talk? Okay, nobody responds to me. I can just continue. Okay. So on the left-hand side is a human. We have the human as a service provider, and also human have human customer. On the left-hand side, we have AI. AI is the service provider, AI is customer. And if you look at the upper part of the diagram, then we have, that will be the service provider part, and the lower part of the diagram is the customer side. So this 2x2 ratio that you can see when they are human service provider and interact with human customer, that will be the traditional. Humans serve humans, that will be traditional service. For example, when you get a haircut, you probably still cannot. You still, that's a so-called co-production in the old service scenario. You have to be there, both you as a customer and the service provider need to be there. And then if you move on to the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, we have AI service provider. That will be AI service provider serve AI service provider. So that will be typical AI-enabled service. Service provider use AI to help them provide service. And you can see service providers AI agent, for example, Netflix movie recommendation. Netflix use AI to help it to provide a movie recommendation to their customers. And on the lower part will be the focus of this talk is. On the left-hand side, you have humans serve AI customer. So AI here is serve as customers. Customers use AI as their agent, but not a service provider. So we have Google Duplex that really can make a service reservation. You can call to a hair salon and make a hair reservation for the human customer. And then the service provider, when they answer the phone, they did not realize. They did not realize at all that that's the AI calling them. And then we have the AI serves AI customer scenario. This is a fully automatic service platform. It means on the service provider side is AI, and on the customer side is AI as well. For example, the example I mentioned, Google's ad buying is one example, and the self-driving car is also another example that no human customers involved directly. So it's fully automatic service platform. On the platform, on the both sides are AI. We have AI service provider, and then we will also have AI customer. And if you look at the corner, we have that. I try to illustrate that the service provider customer interaction trend. You can see the middle part. The middle part you can see when service providers eventually service providers AI agent interact with customers AI agent. We have the fully automatic service platform. No human involved directly in the middle part. But if you start from human service provider, when human service provider begin to use agent, their service provider, they begin to use AI as their agent. And if we bypass customers AI agent, then you can see that is a scenario that customer do not use AI, but service provider use AI. But if you look at human customers use AI as the agent and the bypass the service provider's agent, then you have human service provider. So I always told my students very often that these days you have to pay attention to this longer service provider customer interaction trend, because both sides can use AI as the agent. So eventually it's fully automated service platform, only service agent interact with each other, and we tend to ignore that possibility. So how can we research the AI customer? Because AI's customer obviously is different from human customer. Can we use the existing consumer behavior research methodology to research AI customer? And we propose there are two possibilities. First, you can do the reverse engineering. Reverse engineering means you try to figure out how algorithms work, and that is how AI consumer thinks. But they turn out to be not very potent, but very promising, because a typical AI model, a typical may probably involve with thousands of parameters. And how can you figure out, especially in deep neural network, how can you figure out how algorithms work? It's almost impossible. That's why people always say that you can see the input, there will be data input, and then you can see the output, but you don't know how AI come up with that output. It's more like a black box. And so people then, in order to research AI customer, then people propose that then probably we can make AI explainable. So it's a research stream called explainable AI. But that is also not very promising, because it turns out to be, no matter what method we use, the result is just not very explainable, because it's just a black box. You cannot capture, because AI does not think in a human way. AI think in a computing way. And that kind of computing, very often AI does not answer the question why. If you know something about data mining, text mining, machine learning, it's all about matching. About matching, it does not really work on human thinking about why. So in the case, the explainable AI actually is not very explainable. So we found that reverse engineering probably is not a very promising way to research the AI customer. To look at the regularities in behavior probably is more potential. And that is to observe how AI customer behaves. And nowadays, as the editor-in-chief of JSR, actually that happens very often, because AI behavior is observable. So if you want to observe the online behavior, as long as your research involved with online behavior, then behavior data really need to be observed. Because AI is partial to customers. So when consumers' behavior involve using AI agent, then you need to collect the behavior data. And you cannot just ask the customer to describe, okay, what's your behavior when the customer actually is using AI to help them to achieve to help them, for example, regardless is for augmenting their behavior or reduce their input, reduce their efforts or maximize their utility. Behavior data almost is required. That is often one reason I also always have as authors that if you are doing anything in an online context or involve online context, you need to collect behavior data, because those are the behavior that can capture the AI customer's behavior part. And without that part, your data is not good enough to capture that part, the behavior, to capture the behavior regularities. And the AI customer behavior, also we need to know that it probably is more rational and thus emotional. And if especially human consumers use AI as agent, partially, not fully, you probably need to capture the consumer psychology and also the AI consumers' behavior, both sides, so that you really can tell a whole story to research AI customer. And so at the end, we can see that the implications will be including what are the primary benefits from AI customers, and what are the most attractive future application opportunities, and under what conditions will human grant control to AI customer, and how can human customers benefit from employing AI customers. And I want to highlight the last one. How does the ownership of AI customer affect the interaction? And this is a very interesting consideration. For example, when you use your smartphone, And then you talk to Siri, you talk to, or when you use Alexa, when you talk to Alexa with the buying the product from Amazon, so you have Alexa at home. Then who own the AI? As a customer, we talk about you use AI to reduce your effort or maximize or increase your utility. So you may think you own the AI, but when Alexa buy things for you, Alexa of course first will consider Amazon products, and or when you ask Alexa questions, then Alexa will search will put type priority to Amazon information, product information. Because that is provided, the service is provided by Amazon. So it turned out to be whose benefit that Alexa is taking care of, the customer or the service provider. So the ownership is really an important issue when we think about the implications of AI customer. And so as the editor-in-chief, I would like to, of course, I think, thank you very much for Eddie has mentioned this already, but I want to show you quickly that you can see journal service research really is very impactful. This is among all the other 153 business journals. But if you look at the notes part, the notes part, we rank number 3, that is top 99% out of 1,269 sociology, political sciences, and then rank 15th out of 1,983 business, management, and accounting journals in size score. So if you have very good service papers, I strongly recommend you can consider journal service research. So I think that will be about time for my talk on AI as the customers. Now I will give the time to Eddie for the Q&A. Okay, you need to unmute yourself. Eddie, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi again, Professor Huang. Thank you very much for your valuable speech, expertise, and knowledge shared with us. Now we are in the 10-15 minutes Q&A session. Before taking the questions from the audience, from the participants, let me ask my questions, then we will move to the participants. So you can write the questions in the Q&A session, in the chat session. Professor Huang, articles, books about artificial intelligence often begin with the intention to shock the readers, referencing classic works of science fiction or alarming some statistics about forthcoming job losses. There are some discussions from Elon Musk or even Stephen Hawking that reflects that there is a threat. AI can become sentient. So do you agree with these concerns? Do you think that this AI automation will have threat to some specific job categories?
I think one main argument what we propose, you can also see from the framework, the collaborative AI framework we propose. AI always, because it's human, at this stage, it's human design and develop AI. And we always have the intention that we want to design and develop AI to help humans. So it's always starts at each intelligence level, or AI will start at augment, or AI start augmenting a human capability. But AI has the capability of self-learning. So AI can self-learn. When AI can self-improve, self-learn, that capability is what makes AI different from any other information technologies, because it can self-improve. When AI can self-improve, then it can replace human effort. It can replace human jobs. Without when replacement happens, no human involvement is required. So for consumption it may be good. It may be good in many scenarios because you don't have to do, especially for the lower level routine related laborious boring jobs, boring consumption task. But try to think, if you are a worker in the job market, when you don't have to involve means low, you don't have job. So it's two-sided. It's all two-sided, and it started from lower level, from mechanical jobs, tasks, and to thinking level jobs and tasks. But we are thinking in our book, The Feeling Economy, and in our article, The Feeling Economy in California Management Review, we are thinking about humans' territory will be on the feeling jobs, feeling sectors. So the audience of this conference is in the right sector. The feeling industry, the feeling sectors will be, and the feeling tasks and jobs will be the human's domain, because so far we don't have feeling AI really can do those jobs. So it's a form of human AI collaboration. We do not think it will be easily that human will be replaced. But is there any risk of that? I think there's a risk because AI can self-learn. But human has a feeling capabilities that AI cannot match.
Thank you for your response and answer. So with your current knowledge and experience, what is your recommendation for companies? How can they satisfy an AI customer?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So in my slides, I think there's one part I did not elaborate. For the multiple intelligences, we emphasize that mechanical AI has a benefit to customers or provide or standardize everything, standardization. And the thinking AI has the benefit of personalization. Feeling AI has the benefit of relationalization. So for service provider, when they are dealing with the AI customers, then they need to know what benefit they can provide to customers at the three levels. So if standardization is what consumer desire for, then they should treat AI, they should enable, they should or facilitate mechanical AI customers. For example, like fast food chain, McDonald's, and a lot of fast food chain, they can begin to have the order kiosks in the store. They make the ordering and delivery actually automatic. And that's because mechanical AI's customer is what customer desire for, to standardize everything. And if you are in a business, that customer really prefer personalization. For example, like movie recommendation, music recommendation, a lot of online apps, you can see that they really try to provide personal recommendation, and not just personal recommendation, but also adaptive personalization, like music, based on your listening behavior. Then they can update recommendation to you. And so if consumer desire for personalization, then service provider really should use thinking AI to facilitate thinking AI as customers. So it will be the same for feeling AI customer. It based on what consumers want, and then the service provider should strive to facilitate the different kind of AI intelligences as AI customers.
Thank you so much, Professor Huang. What about your expectations about some examples from tourism industry? So we are expecting that AI will be used more in tourism industry interactions. Can you give some of your expectations as well?
I think for tourism, I can use hotel as an example. I think now even in China, it's quite common already for a lot of, especially high skill restaurants, they begin to use AI to do the room service. And room service is a situation that is very, very appropriate in a way that customers don't want to see human room service in many situations. Once they stay in a room, they probably don't want to see those service people. So when you deliver food to a hotel room, when you want to do room service, not only you can provide the standardization benefit because their service level will be standardized, means consistent service quality, and also avoid human contact is also what customer desired. So that will be hotel can use mechanical AI for deliver the service that to avoid customer contact. And at the front line also a lot of hotels will use front line, use a greeting chatbot robot to greet customers. And now it's just for fun. But in the future, there will be, I think I use that example, to hire frontline employees that really have empathetic intelligence is not easy. Not everyone has. And so how can you use feeding AI to make your frontline employees more empathetic so that you can interact with human customers in a more empathetic way and make the interaction and communication, because frontline interaction is one category that you receive most customer complaints. And so if you can use AI to help the communication interaction in a more empathetic way, that is also one way that can make the interaction more smooth.
Thank you. There is a question from Dr. Faizan Ali. I'm reading his question. Thank you for this interesting talk. When you say AI as a consumer, is it really the AI or the human behind the algorithms who would be considered as the customer?
Yeah, I really love this question. Actually, it's both. AI is customer in our definition is AI customer can be fully or it can be partially or fully customer. So partially means AI is augmenting human customer. So in that situation, they work together. AI help customer to carry out the consumption behavior and then make the consumption behavior better and smarter. So it both involve. But when AI become the customer itself, AI replace customers' effort, then we don't have the humans in the interaction chain. It's more like set behind. There's no direct involvement of human. It's more like human just use AI as agent. So at that time, if AI is making a purchase for the human customer, then for that part, it's only AI there. It's only algorithm there. So it all depends on at which level. We have 3 levels of AI customers. AI augments human customers. Now in that situation, both AI and human involve. And at the level AI replace human customer, then only AI involved directly. But human is behind the AI because it's human use the AI as the agent for consumption behavior. So that will be the situation. It depends on at which level AI is customer.
Thank you. And there is another question. Maybe this will be the last one. What are the ethical problems of artificial intelligence? What regulations do you think should be made?
I think that's really the major issue. I can point out 2 issues. The first one I really want to ask is the ownership issue. Ownership is really a big issue because when customers use AI as agent, they use smart devices, and then they use the applications and service provided, very often provided by the service providers. So it's more like service providers use their own AI agent to interact with the AI customer. They also provide the AI agent for customer. So both sides, the service providers AI agent and the customer's AI service agent, both are provided by the service providers. That's very common. So in that situation, like Alexa is acting on whose behavior, whose best interest. That's an issue. And then when you use your smartphone provider very often also have their own interest. For example, like Apple computer, when you use iPhone, where Apple were kind of in favor in some design in many of its apps. For example, like Apple iTunes store before, or the app stores. Of course, they will give their own product and service a better position. It's not neutral at all. So those issues really will put consumers, when they use AI as part of their as part of their own as part of them their own consumptions. That will be the situation that need to know, and the consumer need to be aware of that. That their AI agent may not be neutral, and especially when they are provided by all these smart device manufacturers and by AI service providers.
Thank you, Professor Huang. As a last words of your speech, do you have some recommendations for the researchers who are currently motivated to do some research on AI in their studies, in marketing, in organizational studies, in tourism industry related studies? Recommendations for the researchers.
I think I would like to emphasize that in the past few years, I think probably in the past few years, a lot of paper will really focus on developing conceptual framework and predicting the future trend about what will be the trend, future trend of AI, for example, like AI customers, what will be the trend. I think nowadays, because AI research become more mature, our conceptual paper is not enough. So in JSR, very often you really need to have empirical data to support, for whatever AI research topics you are doing, you need to have empirical data. Conceptual discussion is not enough. That's in the past 5 years. Now you need to have empirical data to do more specific, to test more specific hypotheses. And behavior regularly need to collect behavior data in addition to consumer psychology. Because when consumers use AI product as their agent, then you are able to observe the behavior regularities from the AI device. So both behavior data and the psychology data will need to be collected, especially when AI is partial customers. You need to have both sides to have a full picture of a consumption behavior. So that is quite important. Behavior data collected based on the behavior regularities of AI as consumer's agent, and also the empirical data. Those two parts those are questions answered quite often for JSR. When people have the AI related topic, if I saw again a research agenda, a big picture, I would say no, not enough. You need to have empirical data to examine specific research questions.
Dr. Huang, on behalf of the MTCon conference organizing committee and on behalf of all the participants, I would like to thank you for sharing your time, your ideas, your vision, your knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a nice conference.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you again and come together again.